Hiya Pandemonium, I hope you are having an absolutely magical day. Today we are going to be doing makeup for the Piranha plant from Mario, or Mario Kart. So let's get started. I have already done my base as I normally would. I filled in my brows with green and I have put a stain on my lips. That's as far as we've gotten so far. So let me show you the eye look and the cheeks. I'm gonna start with this Beauty Creations color-based primer in Jade for my eyeshadow base. I'm gonna take a flat brush and apply that primer to my lid. Honestly, I don't know what says I have made excellent life choices more than spending several hours putting makeup on my face so I can look like a plant that lives in a pipe and tries to eat Italian plumbers. And repeat on the other side and also under my eye. I'm going to use this ColourPop Fade into Hue palette. It is one of my favorites because there's lots of colors in it. We're going to use this green row and maybe a little bit of this yellow one also. Starting with a big fluffy brush in the lightest shade, we're going to apply that up above where I've put that primer to give ourselves something to blend into. I've always loved doing character makeup, especially when the character isn't already human. There's something really fun about taking a completely ridiculous cartoon design and trying to figure out what that character would actually look like if they existed in the real world. Piranha Plant is a particularly fun one because the original design is incredibly simple. It's basically a flower. It's red, it has white spots, it has enormous teeth. And apparently it has decided that murder is an appropriate response to someone walking past its plumbing. Then below that, we'll take this next green shade, the next matte green shade, I should say, and come underneath and blend that over the crease and into that lightest shade. So the challenge here isn't recreating a complicated face. The challenge is figuring out what makes Piranha Plant recognizable and then exaggerating those things enough that they still work on a human face. If I could get my hair out of it, that'd be great. It's the one thing about putting on the wig first. Then going to this darkest green, putting that on a smaller brush. Still a fluffy brush, but a smaller one. And that's going to go right in the crease to just kind of give it some dimension right there. Based on the lore, the Piranha Plant is basically just a Venus flytrap, but make it large enough to chomp a human. It isn't necessarily just like a piranha / Venus flytrap hybrid. I'm also going to take this darkest one and put it up under my eye. Blend out the edges. The piranha part was more just like an inside joke because a piranha is a relatively small fish, but it has a weird like cultural zeitgeist that basically a school of piranha can decimate an entire human. Honestly, it doesn't happen all that much, but it's part of the culture, so they made it part of the joke of the Piranha Plant. Back to my big fluffy brush to just kind of marry all of those together. When you're translating a cartoon character into a human face, you have to decide which features are literal and which features are more about the overall impression. You can always dip back into those lighter shades if you need to touch up a little. And that is why we go lightest to darkest, because it just makes that process so much simpler. And this is a pretty simple eye look. It's mostly just blending and gradients. Then I'm going to take this darkest shimmer shade on a flat brush. I like mine to have a little bit of fluff on the end. It's kind of flat, but also a little bit fluffy. I'm going to pack that onto my lid on the outside corner. If I tried to literally recreate Piranha Plant's eyes, it would probably look like I glued 2 googly eyes to my forehead. Which is fair and would still be a valid cosplay. I just wanted to translate it into a little bit more human. Then the same thing with the green, lightest green shimmer, but on my lid. Or I'm sorry, on the inner corner of my lid. blending that, but gently just pulling it into that darker green. And that's pretty much it for the eyeshadow. Of course, we're gonna go in and add some details, but that's pretty much it as far as that goes. I did decide to go into the yellows here and place it on my inner corner for a little pop. Gently feather out the edges with my finger, just like that. I'm gonna take this kohl eyeliner and line my inner waterline, my lower waterline. Inner waterline, what the heck does that even mean? And gently just smudge it out with my finger. With a black liquid liner, draw my wing, making sure to keep the liner flat rather than directly pointed at my eye. It gives you better control, and you can let the pen do the work and make the shapes for you. This part is basically just because a Tinker Panda look is not really complete without a black wing. I add black wings to just about every look that I ever do because it's kind of my signature. I've been doing it since high school. And then fill it in. I'm going to connect it to that bottom line just by flicking towards my bottom part of my eye. Anything on the other side. Matter of fact, in college, I would literally just wear black winged eyeliner and black lipstick, and that was it. Because I was too lazy at that point in time to do a full face of makeup to be ready for 8 a.m. classes. So I would just do that and call it done. And now I spend hours sometimes on a makeup look. It's funny how things change. Just like that. I am nothing if not extra, so I want to take a green glitter liner and follow the black eyeliner that I just did. I'm using a dark green. Okay, I was wrong. My green one dried up, so we're just going to use this lighter green. It still shows up. We're good. I think one of my favorite parts of cosplay is taking something that exists in a completely different visual language and translating it into something physical. Video game characters don't have to worry about things like skin texture. They don't have pores. They don't have to worry about whether their eyeliner is going to transfer onto their eyelid. They don't have to worry about a wig fighting for its life in this Tennessee humidity. Meanwhile, I'm over here trying to convince my face that it is in fact a carnivorous plant. And there we go. Because I didn't stop being extra during the time I was doing that, I'm going to take this green water-based liner and draw like a little vine at the end of my eye here. I'm gonna go between those two colors, pull it out, do a little loop, and curl it around. Might have to do a couple of layers. These are pretty bright colors, so sometimes these bright neons take a couple of passes. And then add a couple of little leaves. This is where I really get to play around with shapes, because shapes and colors are two of the most important elements of cosplay, particularly closet cosplay, because if you have the right shapes and colors, people can immediately recognize who you are, even if it's not a completely screen accurate representation. Just like that. And then repeat on the other side. I added some mascara and some lashes, and that's it for the eyes. So now let's do the cheeks. I'm going to take this Made by Michel blush palette and use this reddish shade down here. And we are going for blush blindness. I want bright, bright cheeks. Another thing I think is important with cosplay makeup is remembering that you don't necessarily want everything to look perfect while you're sitting 6 inches away from a mirror. Because that's not what people are going to see when you're at a convention. They're going to see the whole character. They're going to see the costume. They're going to see the makeup. They're going to see the silhouette. Across my nose. And you're going to bring all those elements together in that final look. Just on the very end there. To help kind of melt that into the skin, I'm going to take the same powder brush that I had when I did my base and just kind of gently go over it. But we still want bright. I'm going to take this white liner pencil. This one's from Beauty Creations, and I am going to draw little mushroom dots. They're not actually mushroom dots. They're piranha plant dots, but you know what I mean. Just going to draw some little circles. Normally, I would make myself a liquid liner to do this, but because I'm doing 3 different characters today, I'm going for temporary. Remember, you're not necessarily trying to make yourself look exactly like the source material. You're trying to make somebody look at you and immediately think, oh, that's that character, before you even put on the costume. And that's why playing around with those shapes and colors is important in this process. This is where the piranha plant really starts coming together. Once you start adding the spots, the character becomes much more obvious. Those little details are what make the design work. It's kind of like drawing a cartoon. You can take away a surprising amount of information and people will still recognize the character because certain visual elements are doing all of the heavy lifting. Mario has his hat, Bowser has his shell and horns, Yoshi has that giant nose and unmistakable color palette, and Piranha Plant has a green body, a red head, those little white dots, and teeth. So many teeth. Which is something else I really love about the Piranha Plant because it is simultaneously adorable and horrifying. And that combination is one of my personal favorite things in character design. The colors are bright, the shape is almost cute. It's literally a flower. And then you open the mouth and discover that the flower has apparently been fitted with the dental plan of a prehistoric predator. And there you go. There is your Piranha Plant makeup. If you liked watching this transformation, if you could do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button and also the hype button, it really would help out. I will insert a clip here of me in the full cosplay. Here is your completed Piranha Plant. I think it turned out absolutely adorable. I hope y'all have an absolutely magical day, and I'll see y'all in the next video.